I got it. All right. Good morning, Dorota. How are you?
Good morning, everyone. I'm great.
Lovely to have you join us.
Thank you. Thank you. Can't wait.
Good stuff. Yeah, I know we're going to have lots of discussions as realtors over the next days and weeks about, all this Teresa stuff that's coming into play. And, I don't want to jump into that rabbit hole here today because I feel like we're going to have a ton of stuff from OREA and Rico and the brokerages and all that kind of stuff. So I know it's tempting because it's looming and it's happening here in the next couple of days, but I think we're going to get inundated with information on that side of things. So I just want to be mindful of staying reasonably on point today with the idea that I had, and this is open to discussion too, about what can we do in the next 30 days to really get our businesses on track for 2024. Because I think there's this tendency, especially now, the weather's turning on us, and December the 1st is the end of the week, so people are Christmas shopping and there's a lot of parties going on and all that kind of stuff. So there's this tendency to kind of unplug and check out for the next little while. And it is true that whatever we do today is going to show up in the next 60 to 90 days for your business. So I'll open up the floor to some people's ideas as to what can you do in the next 30 days to really finish the year strong to make sure that you're setting our businesses up for 2024.
Get in touch with everybody. That's my ideas.
Yeah.
Christmas is coming, and I just ordered Christmas cards, and I'll be calling people. And yeah, that's my plan.
Yeah, I think Christmas cards are a great idea. I know the number of Christmas cards that we get as a family has been dwindling every year to the point where we only get a couple now.
So true. So true.
Yeah.
But it can be a really great way to stand out as far as, making sure that you're doing something a little differently. And it's a pretty fun and easy thing to do to send out Christmas cards to your list.
So, guys, quick question. Because what I did is I'm Catholic and I ordered Merry Christmas and Happy New Year cards. But I realized, I looked at the list of my clients and I had a lot of Indian people this year,
Mhm.
which are not necessarily Christian. Do I send them a different card, or how do you feel about that?
Sorry.
That's a great question.
Yeah, I would agree. So we have friends that are many different cultures as well. The opinion, I think the opinion varies depending on the person that you talk to, but I think sending them a happy holidays card or something that says Happy New Year, there's nothing wrong with that, right? I think it's more if you're sending the overtly Christian cards and that kind of thing that maybe they won't appreciate it, but I don't think there's anything wrong with a happy holidays. And in many experiences, this seems to go over really well with them, and they still appreciate getting the cards, even though they may not celebrate the season.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm of the same opinion. And the cards that I have this year, they say Merry Christmas, and it's a picture, like a cartoon picture of a bear on the front. And then inside it says, Merry Christmas and all the best in 2024, something to that effect. So yeah, it does say Merry Christmas. I've sent out cards of varying messages over the years. I've never had anybody push back and say, "Oh, you sent me a Merry Christmas card and it's Happy Holidays," or that kind of thing. I usually just get calls saying, "Hey, thanks so much for the card."
Okay.
Same here. And we've talked to friends of ours that are close, that are Muslim before, and they find it silly. They're like, if you say Happy Diwali to us or whatever their holiday is, why can't you turn around and say, Merry Christmas if that's your holiday? So I think it's just one of those, it's become a political opinion to say, you know, the Merry Christmas versus the Happy Holidays. So I don't think you're going to get anybody that's going to be super offended by a Merry Christmas if you do send out one of those cards. Like Michael said, actually, fun fact, I have, so my on my banister I have like a garland going down the stairs, and what I do is I keep all my Christmas cards that I get given. And you're so right, Michael, like there are so few cards that you get each year now. So what I've done is I've put a hole punch in them and a ribbon through and a bell, and I hang my Christmas cards off of my staircase on the garland, and it looks so pretty. And I have at least 2 or 3 of Michael's cards on that banister from years past. But it's what a nice way, you know, for you guys to send that reminder. And you know, in an ever digitally increasing world where we all get, you know, those happy birthdays and Facebooks and Merry Christmases, you know, and emails and things like that. But it's nice when you can send that personal touch and send it and actually have a handwritten card. I know personally, I keep those things and I display them all season because I love them, you know. So for me, I'm a keepsake kind of person, so I love keeping those kinds of things. Maybe not for everybody. I know a lot of people throw them out, but I think it's a nice way to get out there and have that point of touch with them throughout the year. It's like birthday cards. It makes them feel good.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, I think too, also doing something that maybe is a little bit different as far as a touch point. And, you know, people are going to get Christmas cards through the month of December leading up to the holidays. There's also other things that you could do, such as, you know, Happy Boxing Day, or even just a very specific New Year's Day card, right? To try to differentiate yourself from everybody else that may be sending a card. I don't know too many people that send cards consistently anymore. Like it's a pretty rare thing. Yeah.
I would agree.
And I don't get too picky about the list that I send my cards to. I think I've got 190 people on my Christmas card list now, somewhere thereabouts. So I send them to like all my past buyers and sellers and family and friends and referral sources and all that kind of stuff. I've got to go through my list again. I'm sure it probably should be closer to 200 and probably 240, 250 if I was to really filter through it. I'm not too selective because you never know, you know, you could be sending a card to somebody who you haven't talked to in a couple of years, and for whatever reason, it twigs with them and they're like, oh, okay, Michael's still doing this. That's awesome.
Yeah. It keeps your name fresh in their brain, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
All
So
right,
I
thank
I
you
think
so much.
I think other things that you can do too, other than the cards. Has anybody ever done any pop by gifts for the month of December?
What are pop by gifts?
So pop by gifts is, you know, somebody who you're reasonably close to, somebody who's your inner circle. You drop by with a gift of some kind, and it's an unannounced visit or even just leaving something at their front porch. So, you know, you could have a mug that's got some Hershey's Kisses in it that's wrapped up, and you give it to them as like a Christmas thing.
And you attach your business card to it
Yeah.
if
Yeah, yeah, for sure. You can definitely make this a branded thing, in my opinion. You know, either put your cards inside or, and you know what's funny? I find the cheesier they are, the better.
Okay.
You know,
maybe give us some examples of some of the best cheesy gifts you've gotten or given.
So one that I really wanted to execute and I've not done yet, but I've got this in the back of my mind that I would like to do it, is to get some little whisks and take a bunch of Hershey Kisses and stuff them inside the whisk and attach a card that's branded that says "Whisking you a Merry Christmas."
Okay, that's a good one.
Right?
That is a good one.
Like it's super cheesy, but exactly when people get that kind of a gift, the first thing they're going to be like, oh my God, that's so cheesy. But they're going to laugh about it and be like, oh my God, that's awesome.
I think that's a great idea. That's a phenomenal one. You know, if we're talking about personalized gifts, you know, one thing that has stuck out to me over the years was a speaker that I had listened to at a presentation was like, "Hey, I get gifts all the time, and that's great, but I don't need any more bottles of wine or whiskey or whatever. Like, I don't even drink. But if you get my kids something that, you know, that puts it at a whole different level. And so even looking to your clients, you know, and remembering that they have little ones this time of year and doing something fun like that, like, yeah, I think even the kids would get something out of it. And so keeping the children in mind too, and not just the client themselves is something that, you know, you can really go for when giving those gifts and when you're thinking about trying to step outside the box and differentiate yourself.
I think making it memorable, I think also knowing your audience is also a big part of it too, right? If you know that you've got, like for me, I work with a lot of young families that have young kids. So keeping something in mind that could be for the entire family and not just for the parents. I also don't do expensive gifts because, you know, if I'm going to do them, then it's going to go out to a pretty large group and it can get expensive pretty quickly. I
Yeah.
think one thing to keep in mind with these things is to do something that you know that you're going to be able to execute. And my opinion with these things has always been, if you're going to do it, you've got to be able to do it for everybody and commit to doing it. And I think that's one of the most challenging things with these. I remember years ago, I ordered really nice calendars that were branded. And I think it was around June or July, I ended up throwing them all into the recycling bin because I didn't hand them out. So,
Oh
you know, it
no.
was a really great idea. And I spent hundreds of dollars on actually, I had the calendars and then I had orange bags made, like a plastic bag with my logo on them. So I actually had myself and my team spend hours taking these calendars and putting them inside these bags, these bright orange bags to hang on people's porches. And they sat in my garage for like 6 months and then I chucked them all in the recycling.
Oh
So it
man.
was a huge waste of time and money to just go into recycling because I never handed them out. Yeah. So you've got to have that time carved out and allocated. And I know it's tough. Like you've got kids and Christmas stuff, and you got to go get photos of Santa and holiday parties and planning your own stuff. Like it's a lot in the month of December. So I would say before you even start any kind of a program, make sure you carve out the time to make sure you can see it all the way through to the end. I'm
Yeah.
also of the opinion too, like if you're going to do something for one person, you've got to do it for everybody. Because I would rather do nothing than, you know, do a really nice gift and give it to, you know, say, you know, Steve and Kevin are both past clients of mine and they're friends. And I give something really nice to Kevin. And, you know, Steve and Kevin are talking over the holidays and Kevin's like, oh, hey, you know, Michael dropped this really cool thing off at my house. Did you get one? And Steve's like, well, no, I never got one. Like, what the hell did I ever do to Michael that I didn't get a cool gift from him? So, like for me, I'm very cognizant of that, that if you're going to do something for your database, you got to do it for everybody because it looks to me, it looks worse doing half and then getting caught within your database that people are going to be like, oh, well, you got something and I didn't. Well, I'm a piece of crap then, so I'm never going to talk to Michael again.
Yeah, so true.
I think that's probably one of the biggest things that holds us back from executing on these great ideas.
No, I've got so many great ideas. Well, I think they are great, but then the time comes, and when I realize it's time to do those gifts, it's too late.
It's
Yeah.
hard now because, you know, we're December the 1st at the end of this week. And if you're going to order something, it might take a week or two to get everything assembled and put together. And now you've got to execute very quickly. So I, I think for big projects, you probably want to have stuff lined up a month in advance of actually executing it. So everything's all ready to go.
Yeah, I would agree. I've definitely, I can feel you on the failure side of gifts. I bought I think 300 pairs of sunglasses for a golf tournament that I sponsored a couple years ago, and thinking that everybody was going to be like, oh, what a fun gift. And nobody wanted them. Nobody, because everybody has their expensive sunglasses. So like, why do I want these cheap ones? Or I'll take them for my kids. So I have about 200 more pairs that are in my dining room table. So I use them everywhere. I even took some with me last year to Italy, and I left them in random places because I was like, hey, why not? So be, like you said earlier, just be mindful of your audience. Make sure that the gift that you are going to give is something that, you know, they will use and that they will think about, because there's nothing worse than you know, you being so proud of yourself and seeing it through, and then spending all these hours and doing something, and then all of a sudden just to find out that whatever it was that you gave them just went in the G file.
So to that point, I know Steve and I, we've had some conversations over the last couple of weeks relating to this, where a lot of times we make these assumptions as to what our clients want, right? So we come up with these really great ideas and we're like, oh, sunglasses, everybody's going to want to have sunglasses. And then you go out and you invest the time and the money to do it, and you realize you completely missed the mark. And you know, more so to do with the real estate side of things, Steve and I were talking about, you know, specific things within our geographic farm or a database. And we talked about this. I said, Steve, why don't you just ask people what they want?
Yeah.
Right? Rather than making an assumption, why don't you actually like call people, or, you know, inside Facebook, inside a group, or on your own page, you can actually create a questionnaire, right? Where you have multiple checkmark responses. Why not just ask people what they want and let them tell you?
Yeah.
So have you done that, Steve? Have you actually reached out to people to ask them what they want?
I've incorporated into some door knocking, asking people like if they're not moving, you know, or that conversation comes up, be like, you know, okay, as a homeowner that's staying where you are, you know, what could I provide you or help with that would be of benefit to you? I have had some people indicate, you know, trades contacts. People do like seeing some stats of kind of what's going on in the area. I haven't had too much more dialogue from that, but I think it's a valid question to ask people to see where their head's at, right? So,
have you been surprised by some of the responses, like stuff that you've not thought of, that people have been like, oh, this is what we would really appreciate, and you're like, oh, I never thought about that?
not yet, to be honest. So I'm going to continue doing it and see if I stumble across some of that. Yeah.
I think it's important to keep track of the responses too, right? If you keep a tally sheet, and
Yeah.
you know, that way you can kind of hit or target the mass questions that people are having. So, you know, if you're finding that most people are saying, yeah, we're looking for tradespeople, and you know, that becomes something that stands out amongst the rest, then you know that you can create something specifically for them. So maybe that's something we can all do in the month of December, is when we're having conversations with people inside of our database, to ask that question and be like, you know, what kind of real estate stuff are you looking for? You know, what kind of questions do you have? Is there anything real estate related that, you know, you're not finding the information elsewhere that I can research and provide for you?
That's a great idea, Michael. I know one thing that we do in our company is we ask how our clients how they like to be contacted. I tend to rely on email because for me it's that proof that you've asked a question or gotten a response for something. But oftentimes people don't necessarily look at their emails, or maybe they prefer text messages or phone calls. So this is in similar tune of, you know, asking them what they want and really listening to them, and taking it to heart when you are considering giving gifts. Because again, if you're spending money and time out of your day to be thoughtful and do these things, I think it's wonderful that you are trying to listen and you know, and get an honest response, but also give the people what they want, which is so very difficult.
Yeah, it's not easy. I think also too, when it comes to connecting with people, the more that you can make it specific versus generic, it's going to have a deeper impact to them. Right. So even just little things like putting their name on the cards instead of just, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, actually putting hi Michael or hey Dixon family or hey Kevin and family, like something to make it specific to them. And I know it takes a little bit of extra time when you're doing that kind of stuff, but to me, it pays dividends because people appreciate that you're taking the time to make it personalized.
I would agree.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that goes for anything too, like even text messages. And I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I usually get text messages on Christmas morning and New Year's Eve morning. And you can usually pick out when they are a mass message that's being sent out to everybody versus one that's coming from like a buddy or a friend that's like, hey, Michael, hope you and the family have a wonderful Christmas. Right. So I don't know. Is anybody using a service to personalize messages like that? Because I know they exist.
I don't.
Yeah. Yeah. It gets a little bit costly when you start using those kinds of services, especially for mass texting, because now you have like a private number that's connected to your database and all that kind of thing, or a specific CRM that can do that kind of thing for you. I know Follow Up Boss did that really well. Right, you could create a mass text message that would go into the database, kind of like an email template, where you could do like dear and then insert the person's name and then kind of customize it a little bit and then send it out through the system. So it will go to like a whole list of people via text message and insert personal information.
See, I really don't like these systems. I use Command,
Mhm.
and I signed up for all these not emails but text messages. And my point of view is that if I receive generic a text message from the number that I don't know, and it says, "Oh, here is a good deal," blah blah blah, stuff like this, I automatically don't even read it fully.
Mm. Yeah, I think it
And
comes down to the intention of the message, though, right? I agree with you. I think when I get those messages and they're trying to hard sell me something, I don't. I usually delete those and block the number as well. I think though, if you're doing something that is different and it's more of a relationship building message that you're sending out, it's not a hard sell like, hey, just listed this duplex, or hey, do you want to buy or sell a house? Like to me, that's the salesy, like I just don't want to deal with it kind of message. But I think if you were to send out messages like, hey, just thinking about you and your family because it's the holidays, hope you have a wonderful holiday and all the best in the new year. Like that's a very different message in my.
yeah, so especially in my case, when I don't have a huge database and not that many clients that I would actually text or call. So I'd rather take the time and just send the message from my phone using their names, asking about the kids and using the kids' names.
Mhm.
That's what I do.
And there's nothing wrong with that. And keep in mind that that's something scalable too. So when you do get to a point where your client list is to a point where, even trying to copy and paste that over to 20 or 30 people is time consuming, because then you have to remember to change all those names before
Yeah.
you hit send. Keep in mind that when you do some automation, you can set that kind of message up. So as long as you have in your database, like I use HubSpot, and I make sure to add in clients' names, kids' names, birth dates. So if I want to send out an automated email, I don't do the text messaging thing yet. But if I do, at least we can say, put placeholder this name. So then that way it gets sent out to everybody. And then it has the same feel of, hi, placeholder. Hope you have a wonderful holiday season. hope, you know, X, Y, and Z kids have a great time, or again, so you can be specific like that. And you can automate those kinds of things, but I would agree with you, getting personal and putting those names in there really helps you to stand out in that regard, because it's not just a generic, you know, call to action, save 20% off, right? It's a genuine, heartfelt message, just, hey, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, hope you're having a good season.
Yeah, sometimes I'm drained because I feel like I'm even sitting on the sofa and still texting people at night, right? But
Yeah. Yeah, you know, I understand where you're coming from. It becomes a lot when you're looking to make things very personalized, and it's a fine line that you walk between, you know, investing the time to send out a personalized message because obviously there's a better connection there, versus not sending a message at all because it's overwhelming and too much. And one of the challenges is, as your business grows and you have more people in your database, is maintaining that level of personal connection that they've come to appreciate and understand, and the reason why they like working with you, versus economies and efficiencies because now you have more people to connect with. So just something to keep in mind as your business grows is figuring out ways to be able to do that at a bigger scale. You know, that's one of the things we talk about with, you know, systems in the business is, okay, I've done this and it's been great and I've had great engagement with people. How do I create a system around this so that I can do it at mass?
Yeah.
Just something to keep in the back of the mind.
yeah,
And something hopefully you can delegate to one day, right? Even if you have a part-time VA or something, if it's something that you have a system created around, that it's something you can delegate to them, so that you're not having to sit there in the evenings writing those text messages yourself.
Copy and paste is a wonderful thing.
As long as you remember to change those ever important details before you hit send. I mean, we're all human. Lord knows I've done it. So
Hey, I'm gonna pick on Kevin for a second now because we haven't heard much from Kevin yet today. I'm curious, Kevin, what are you doing this holiday season to connect with your database?
I've never done anything before. This year I'm just going to send out a few Christmas cards. They're pretty generic. They do say Merry Christmas, and yeah, they'll just have the same message in all of them. I don't have the time or energy to. Well, I probably have the time, but I don't have the energy to put into writing custom cards.
Yeah, you know what? Again, I think just the fact that you're sending out a card to people is going to go a really, really long way.
Yeah, perfection is the enemy of good enough, or whatever that saying is. So do something instead of nothing.
Yeah, perfection will kill more projects that would do okay. You just got to get them out there.
Yeah, and then it'll be that much easier next year. You know, already have learned a couple lessons and made things a bit faster for addresses. And next year maybe I'll have a proper Christmas letter or something with a picture of my family. Like, who knows? The sky's the limit.
I like that. Yeah, having the database set up so that you can print off labels with addresses is magical.
I would agree. Yeah, mail merge in if you know how to use mail merge in, oh God, one of those Microsoft programs, it's an awesome function to be able to print out all your mailing lists.
Yeah, a lot of the CRMs will have a way to make labels and things like that. So figuring out how to do that within your CRM, oh my gosh, that saves me so much time. So I've gotten to the point now where my daughter is now helping with this stuff because she's 13 and looking to make a few bucks. So when I do my monthly mail outs, I basically print off a list inside the CRM, and then I print off the labels for the envelopes, and I just give them to her and she does the rest. So it's pretty awesome to have pre-printed labels that are ready to go with a list, and she can just put stuff together like, hey, Steve, have the most wonderful birthday and all the best in the year ahead. And then she can, you know, put the card in the envelope and she puts the whole thing together with the postage on it, and it's all ready to go. And, you know, it makes it really easy to hand that task over to somebody else.
I wish. My son's only 7. If people get them the stuff envelopes.
Let's see. Steve's son is getting close to age where you could probably.
Yeah, get another year or two. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I was gonna
same,
say,
same
what's
with
that?
Kevin too. Same with Kevin. He's got kids that are getting close to that age.
Yeah, 10 turning 11.
Hey, Michael, take advantage of that because I have kids. The youngest one is 18. They don't want to help anymore.
I guess we only get them for a few years before they want to go off and do their own thing, right? Darn
Exactly.
children. So ungrateful. No. What about you, Sarah? What are you doing this year to make a difference for yourself and to differentiate yourself?
Can you even hear me? I'm actually at the hospital
Oh.
waiting for my mom right now. I'm not, well, I am at the hospital, but anyway, so can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Because my
totally hear
headphones
you.
aren't working.
Oh, no.
Anyways, I am sending out, I've just started sending out birthday cards. And I bought, everybody get ready to laugh, point and laugh. I got magnet calendars and
Nice.
I just sent them out to actually mostly elderly people from my old church that don't really have social media and or emails, and I just haven't actually made contact with them via the telephone. So I sent them a magnet. And yeah, I don't know. That's what I'm doing for like Christmas, like the happy holidays, stick a magnet on your fridge. I got them through Rab. They were not very expensive. Yeah, I don't
Oh,
know.
that's great. Hey, anything that allows you to make contact with people. And then also, I think it's a great idea when you send things like that to follow it up with a call. Because it's a very easy follow-up to be like, hey, it's Sarah calling. You know, we sent out these magnets last week. I just wanted to make sure you got it. If you didn't, I'll make sure you get one. You know, it's a really great reason for reconnecting with people. So I love sending out stuff like that for the reconnection point.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly,
I like the, oh, sorry.
It's okay. Go ahead.
I was just gonna, I just wanted to say, I like the idea of the follow-up touch point. I think that's a great idea to be able to use that calendar as an excuse to call and follow up with them and just, hey, just wanted to make sure you got that and keep them top of mind, and keep you top of mind with them. I think that's wonderful. Sorry, Dorota, you go ahead.
Sarah, we're not gonna laugh at it because we visit a lot of homes, and believe it or not, many people do keep those. So
They do. I know I get some random ones here in Hagersville from like Peter Hogaturp and Chuck Hogaturp because they're the big realtors in the area. And I keep mine on the side of our fridge, and I don't use it for anything, but I still keep it there and I still tear off the months. I love it. Like it's, you know, just one of those things that, like, I guess maybe growing up in the 80s, you just had on your fridge. So it's nice to get those kinds of things.
This year I did calendars, Leafs and Raptors calendars. So
Yeah.
it's got my info at the top, but then it's a sports calendar. It's a little more likely to get used, I think, by some people, or a different
That's
group of
great.
people, maybe.
Yeah.
So you've handed those out now, haven't you, Kevin?
I handed some out last year. I only bought 300 or something, 150 of each, but this year I ordered 5,000 and I mailed them out with Canada Post to my whole farm.
Holy cow, when did those go out?
October 1st, whatever, beginning of the season.
Okay, so I'm curious to know, how has the response been for people receiving?
Zero response. I had one past client say, like, send me a text message about it, but I do wonder if they're actually in people's houses. I got one in my mailbox, so must have gone somewhere. But I always wonder because you don't get immediate response usually from those mailers, right? So I'm trying to do a postcard campaign, like I want to do 12 by 12. So that's one of my 12.
Awesome.
Okay.
You know what? I do believe that it's got to be part of a whole system when you're doing anything like that, right? So if you have a geographic farm that you're sending those things out to, you can't just send a calendar. You can't just do a postcard. It's got to be a calendar, a postcard, the door knocking, the open houses, signs in the yard, telephone calls. Like it's got to be all of that come together at the same time for it to have an impact.
Yeah, and that's what I do. Like I own my 1200 house farm, like I'm number one here, but then this is my expanded farm, which is 4,800 houses, which I have door knocked all of them once, some twice or 3 times, but
That's an awesome, huge farm area. Holy cow.
yeah, it's too big, but
And that's fantastic. So you've got a 1,200 house farm that you are now like the agent that's getting most of the business there.
I was number one. It's a part of W10 in Toronto. So in Rexdale Kipling, the neighborhood, I was number one last year for transactions and dollar volume. This year I should be number one. I could be number two. I'm not sure. There's a couple of us that fight for top. There's basically 3 realtors in this area that are way above the rest. So
That's amazing, man. Congratulations. And to illustrate to the rest of the group here, you've had your license now for how many years, Kevin?
3.5.
3 years. So you've done that in a 1,200 house farm area in 3 years.
Yeah.
Okay, man, start
He was doing
talking.
transactions, but
Man, just start talking. What do you do?
I door knocked.
Because I've been in the business for 5 years and nope, I'm not number one.
No, well, it's a very small area, right? Like a 1,200 house area, but I also know a lot of people in this neighborhood. I grew up at the far end of my farm, a mile away. That's where I grew up, and then I'm only 1 mile from there. I have lots of church contacts who also live scattered all throughout this area. I door knocked all 4,800 houses at least once, right when I started. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I mean, you've done a few other things in that area as well. I know you have. Like over the couple of years, you've done some pretty cool campaigns, like the leaf bag thing was kind of cool.
Yep. Yeah, my leaf bags were all out. I give out about 1,800 this year. So they were on the streets. There's still some on the street.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
I've spent a lot of money here. I've spent a lot of energy here.
Yeah.
So
Well, and you also live in that area. Your kids go to school in that area. So you're pretty entrenched in that area.
yeah, my pickup truck is branded, and I mean not like a magnet. I mean completely branded on the side with my face and on the back. And you know I live here. You know I shop here. I'm at the No Frills. I'm at the Walmart. I'm in the McDonald's drive-through, and I'm around people. They know me. Like people know I'm a known entity, I guess. Like if you're mad at me, you can go find where I live.
Sounds like your next position is going to be a politician or getting on your town council at least.
Yeah, it's like real estate's a good springboard to do that if you wanted to.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Big pay cut.
I know many a Brantford politician was once upon a time a real estate agent. So you're not wrong. Sarah, I saw your hand go up a couple of times. Did you want to say something?
I actually just have a question. So I also am a door knocker. And I'm a door knocker, but I'm not always the best follow-upper, but I'm getting a lot better at it. I guess my question is I'm good at door knocking. So when I first started, I wasn't very good at getting like a name, an email, and a phone number. I usually forgot the phone number, but I'm getting better with the phone number now. But the people that you don't say get all of their contact information, but you chat with them, I've started now just sending them like a thank you card in the mail, like, hey, thanks for chatting with me. But do you have any suggestions, I suppose, for what to put in that thank you card or how to try and dig further into those people that you don't get to contact them?
I've very rarely done thank you cards, to be honest. Like I'm not a card guy. But how big's the farm that you're door knocking?
Well, I live in Waterdown and I'm just making my way through my neighborhood, to be honest with you. I'm newer, so I got licensed in April.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know, my neighborhood.
I would say go again. I would say go again. Like knock on their door. Like when I leave, I was terrible too for getting information. Like my first 1,000 door knocks were a complete waste of time. Like I would have a great conversation at the door, and then I'd be like, "Well, see ya." and I've got nothing. Like sometimes I didn't even have their name, let alone email, phone number. But email to me is almost more important than phone number for a lot of these people, since I am in the area. But I would try and get both, for sure, try and get both. But I would say go back again. If your farm is 1,000 people, you should be able to door knock even in Waterdown on 60-foot lots. You should still be able to door knock 25 an hour. You should be able to talk to 7 or 8 an hour. So if you have a 1,250, sorry, if you have a thousand thing farm, that's only 40 hours. So you put in a week of door knocking in whenever you did it, and then you do another week in March, and then you do it every 6 months. Like, why not? And then you have their name. Like, you go with a sheet so you can write their name, have the numbers already like pre-written, and then you just put their name, anything they said. My daughter Justina, oh, you got the daughter's name. Justina just graduated high school. So then you have something to say next time. I think Justina was just graduated last time I was here. How's she doing? She's still at home? I don't know. People love that you know something about them.
Agreed. That's where, having a CRM where it has a mobile app. So I use ClickUp for my CRM and HubSpot, and both have apps. So I can actually sit there and take 2 minutes. If I do have a great conversation like that with someone, I will actually take the time to make notes before, I would say, like before the next house you go to. Get that in there, get that out of your head, because Lord knows at the end of the day, you are not going to remember that and have all the brain power to do that. So if you can take the time while you're walking to the next house, get that out there. That's a good time saving opportunity.
And then make time after you door knock. You need to make time to actually deal with what you did. Don't just say, I'm going to door knock for an hour because at 12 o'clock I'm going for lunch, and then at 12 o'clock you go for lunch, and then you never actually put the things in your CRM. You never actually upload it to command, if that's what you're using. You never plan follow-ups. Like, you need a half hour afterwards just to kind of like go through things, make sure everything gets put a next task on everybody. Like, if you can, what are you going to do next for this person? Even if it's in 3 months, if it's 6 months, knock again, whatever, put in a next task. Because in a year or two, like, I'm going through my contact lists right now, and it's ridiculous. Like, there's people from 2021 that I should have followed up with, and I didn't, and they've since sold their house, and it's embarrassing and awful, right? Like, I should have had a task to go back to them.
Oh, that's awesome, Kevin. Yeah, and you know what's funny is the consistency over time equals success, right? And it's not sexy, it's not exciting, it's kind of boring in a way, because like, okay, here we go, going door knocking again, and gonna go out and make my contacts, do my thing. I'm curious to know the script that you're using about door knocking. Like, what are you scripting to actually connect with people and get their contact information? So I'd love to hear Kevin. I'd love to hear Steve too, because I know Steve does a great job with the door knocking and getting contact info.
Yeah, it depends what I'm door knocking about. Like, I used to have like a postcard to drop off and all that stuff. Now I don't even bother with that. I just go and door knock. I don't need anything in my hands. If there's something to talk about in the neighborhood, I would just knock, knock, knock. Hi, my name's Kevin. I'm local realtor. Did you see, just wanted to let you know the good news. Did you hear that 19 Porterfield just sold? No. Did you see that it was for sale? Yeah, it was for sale for a few weeks. They got, you want to guess what they got? Do you follow the market at all? Do you kind of keep track? I know it's a hobby for some people. Okay. All right. So they got $1,100,000, $1,100,000. What do you think of that? It's a good price, right? Like, it's not all doom and gloom. The news is blah, blah, blah. And then I say, what are your real estate plans? What do you have planned for real estate coming up in the next year? Usually they say nothing. And then I say, well, I don't come knock on your door every time a house sells. Probably come by once a year. But what a lot of neighbors do is I take their email address and they get an automatic email when something on their street sells. Does that make sense for you? Just so you can kind of keep up with it, what the neighbor's house sells for. Is that something that makes sense for you? Yeah, what's the best email for you? Yeah, and your phone number, is that 647? No, 416? Yeah.
I want to point out
that's
a couple of things there real quick. So one thing that Kevin, I love that he just did is instead of saying, what's your email address? The question is, what is the best email to send this to? I love that you just did that because for me, like what I've learned when you ask people like point blank, what's your email address? They get super defensive instead of what's the best email address to send this to. So I love that you include that into your script, Kevin.
I didn't even realize I did it, so I'm glad I did it.
The other thing too is asking lots of questions, right? Lots of open-ended questions. You know, I think adding one in there to say, oh yeah, the neighbor just sold for 1.1 million. If we could get you 1.1 million for your house, would that cause you to move? Is that something that you would consider? Right.
I also like saying, I also like looking in their front door and being like, and I can tell you, you're just by looking in your front door, like your house is in better shape than that one. That your house looks fantastic compared to that, or something like that. Like give them a compliment that just seems kind of off the cuff.
That's fantastic. One other thing that I've found success with when talking to people, whether it's door knocking or any kind of cold calling, if I'm looking to add them to the database and they've given me their email address, my next question is, fantastic. Now, I would love to send you a text message when I send out the email just to make sure that you get the email okay. Sometimes they go to junk, sometimes I type things in wrong. I just want to make sure that you got the email that you're expecting. What's the best phone number for me to send a text to?
It's a good one.
That is a fantastic way to get people's cell phone information.
And a great way to disarm them too. Like you were saying, it help let their guard down so they're not just expecting to get, 1,000 sleazy messages from you or something.
Exactly. I mean, they've already given you their email. They're expecting you to send them information. What's the best phone number for me to send a quick text to just to make sure you get the email okay? Here's an example of a card that I've done as a thank you card, right? Just kind of fun, whimsical. There's nothing inside. It's got my logo on the back, pretty simple, nothing crazy. But I love sending these out after meetings or somebody gives a referral or whatever, just a quick, hey, thanks a bunch card. And people think they're fun.
Not every day you get a card that's got a bunch of bananas on it. So talking about being memorable.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that, Kevin. That's a great thing. And I love your point too, that when you started doing the door knocking a couple of years ago, the first 1,000 doors you knocked on, you weren't even asking for information, and how it has evolved because you haven't given up on it. You kept going, you kept, okay, how can I make this better? And now to me, that's a fantastic script and presentation that you have. And now you're seeing great results with it.
Yeah. And eventually you don't, like, I should door knock. I haven't door knocked in like a year, really, like a few door knocks. It's not good, but I don't know. People just call me. Like I sold a house last month. We sold a house. The woman just called me. I knocked on her door once, talked to her. I dropped off, a note with leaf bags one year, just hope you're doing well, because she didn't answer. I did the same thing the next year. And then she called me in September and said, oh, hello, Kevin. It's time to sell my house. Can you come over? And I'd only talked to her the one time and left her a couple notes, just hoping she's doing well. She's 90 something years old. Wow. And
so Kevin, if I can ask, where do you get those leaf bags?
Oh, they're not cheap. I buy them from a guy. I don't know where he sources the actual bags and gets it printed, but he does graphics. He lives down the street. They're not cheap. I paid $10,000 for 5,000 bags.
Wow.
And I give out 5 at a time, right? So that's $10. That's $10 in bags. And then I have a piece of paper that goes on top and it says ready for fall ? It's got like a checklist of all the things you should do. And then I put in a magnet, and hopefully the magnet makes it to the fridge. And yeah, so it's like a $13, like by the time I'm done, Like it's probably a $12 to $13 giveaway, which is not cheap, but that is something, back to Sarah's point, like what do I give people? Usually the first time I give them out, I wrote a little note. Thanks for being so kind to me when I knocked on your door last week. Hope you can use these leaf bags and something like that. And I left it for them. But you can do it way cheaper. You can go to Home Depot. You can buy a 5-pack of bags for $4. And you can do the same thing. You can put a piece of paper checklist for fall on top, get a magnet, and that's like a $6 giveaway instead of twice as much.
Yeah, they don't have to be branded. Obviously, the branding kind of ratchets up the whole thing because now Kevin's face is all over his farm neighborhood with people driving around and they're like, holy crap, that Kevin guy's all over the place. It's like having 100 for sale signs in your neighborhood.
So the first year I did them with unbranded bags, like just Home Depot bags. I bought them 5 at a time because they come bound in 5. Whereas if you buy the 25-pack, you have to like rebind them with elastic bands. That would be even cheaper. You buy Costco bags for, what are they, 50 cents each?
I love the idea of doing something that nobody else is doing. Right? Super unique. And that also has staying power because, you know, a lot of people will take the leaf bags and they will use them throughout the year. They'll be using them in the fall, they'll use them in the spring. Sometimes they'll sit on the lawn for a week before they get picked up. So like it's got good staying power.
Yeah. I was going to ask, you probably can't get like custom stickers to put on those leaf bags, right? Because then they may not, the city might not take them if they have the stickers on them. I was just thinking of another way that you could get your branding on there with it maybe not necessarily costing you as much to have it custom made.
Yeah, a buddy of mine, he gets stickers done. He's not a real estate agent. He's a landscaper. He gets stickers done. He pays quite a bit for the sticker though, alone. I think costs him about $1 or $1.50, $1.25 for each one because they're big stickers. But like, yeah, it's an idea. I think you still get the thought points for doing it the other way. This you just lose. You don't get the branding points. You don't get the But still, like what matters is those one-to-one relationships. No one calls me to sell my house. They're like, I saw you on a garbage bag. Come sell my house. Right.
No, but it's the layers, right, that we talk about. It's the layers of the bags going out and the layer of the Christmas card and the door knocking and the postcards that go out and the calendars that you did. So it's the multiple layers and it's consistency over time that makes it so the phone rings, right? I don't know that you're ever going to have one person that says, yeah, I only ever got leaf bags from you and I'm calling for you to list my house for sale. Because you're attacking from multiple channels.
And I still only give leaf bags to people who I've had conversations with before because it's a very expensive giveaway.
Yeah.
So, you know, you have to have been nice to me when I knocked at your door or met you in line at Tim Hortons or whatever.
That's cool. I love that approach. I know Steve and we've done some unique things as far as connecting with people over the years. Steve does a really great one. I'll let him explain that he does with windshield wiper fluid.
Yeah. So beginning of each year, typically what I would do is have like a helping you see the market clearer in the new year, kind of that type of messaging. And we do windshield washer fluid pop buys or drop by people's doors and drop them on their porch, that kind of stuff. So we've done that over the years, which is, you know, it's generated phone calls and people texting me or thanking me and that kind of stuff. And it's, you know, I've targeted past clients with it. I've targeted leads for the new year with it, that kind of thing. So yeah, we've done that. Sometimes around Halloween, we did pumpkin drop-offs, that kind of thing with people. So trying to think what else. Done poinsettias and stuff around Christmas with people. This year it's Christmas cards and a food drive that I'm doing in my farm area this year. So I took a bit of a different approach this year with respect to the state of everything out there, it seems, and the mood people are in. I'm finding, I also do door knocking as well. And I'm finding that there is a higher level of negativity and resistance out there right now for obvious reasons. So my dialogue at the door is shifting a little bit and my conversations are more geared at how we can help you and not necessarily leading a conversation. Are you buying or selling real estate and that sort of things? We're trying to soften that approach a little bit. So I did a food drive. It's going to be like a porch pickup. A marketing piece went out to my farm area last week. Haven't had the responses, to be honest, that I would have anticipated. I'm probably at about maybe, I want to say, I don't have a count in front of me, but about 10 people that have replied right now. Very, very low engagement, to be honest with you. But I have done this in prior years where I've had higher traction with it. So I am going to send out a follow-up email again at the end of this week, allowing people to leave items at their door for pickup when I do my rounds next week. So what I'll do is I'll go to their home. If they're not, might, knock at the door, thank them for their contribution, have like a marketing piece I give to them, thanking them for their donation to Food for Life. And if, again, just trying to connect with those people and just be grateful for something other than asking if they're buying and selling a home. Even my dialogue at the door now is led with offering a market stats report to help homeowners understand what's going on in a changing market. And I'm leading with that dialogue instead of, hey, Mr. Homeowner, home sold at 123 Main Street. What are your real estate plans, or have you thought about buying or selling? Like, I was just noticing the last few months, I've been getting a lot of, not a lot, but an increased amount of negative rejections. So I'm finding a little bit better with offering something of value to start the conversation so that the guard gets brought down from the homeowner a bit.
Yeah, I love that mindset approach of, opening the door and starting with some value, because if you just have somebody open the door and you're like, hey, I'm Michael, give me your name and email so I can send you stuff, they're going to be like, get the hell off my porch. This is ridiculous. But if you go there and you give them 2 or 3 items of value right away, they're going to be like, oh, okay, well, this guy is giving me lots of great information I can't get any other way. It brings the guard down so that they can do that. So, just shifting the messaging, so that people understand that you're there to help them. You're not just there to serve yourself. So what can you do to serve them?
Right.
So we kind of got onto a bit of a discussion here about some pretty cool pop-by gifts and ideas to connect with people over the next 30 days. The leaf bag thing, it might be done now because of the weather that we're into now. But, I'm sure that there's other creative things that we can come up with to have it seasonal, right? Like, what are people going to need now and in the next 30, 60, 90 days? What can you drop off to people that are in your sphere? What can you do when you're door knocking? I love that approach of, what can you do to bring value to them?
We do a bottle drive in the new year. Collect everyone's bottles. They can either drop them at your house in a cube truck or van or whatever, or you could go door to door and pick them up and donate all the funds to something. Won't even cover the postcards to tell everyone about it, but
that is an amazing idea. And you know what I love about these things too, like, again, going with Steve's idea of doing the food drive thing, is it gives you an opportunity for multiple points of contact, right? Because you can send out a couple of messages. You could do door knockers, you could door knock and be like, hey, we're doing this food drive, bottle drive, whatever it is, with the weeks leading up to it. And then the day of, you are going to be connecting with people because you're going to go to their house to collect items or whatever. And then you can also do a follow-up. Actually, you could do a couple of follow-ups and say, hey, thanks so much for your donation, or hey, sorry we missed you because of whatever, we had this thing we did last week, but don't worry, we're going to do another one in the springtime. And then you can do another follow-up one to say, hey, remember that food drive or bottle drive that we did? We helped this many number of families with your contribution to the event that we did. So you could have 4, 5, 6 touch points through doing one event. So I love those kinds of events for that specific reason. And again, it has nothing to do, you're not trying to sell real estate, but you're showing that you are committed to your community. You're committed to a good charity organization, and people love that, and for good reason. So I love those events. I'm also curious to know, has anybody done any kind of like party hosting type events? An example of that is, I know Darlene and Paul Kratz used to do a big Christmas event where they would invite and have like 50, 60, 70 people to their house. Paul's playing piano, Darlene's dressed up as Mrs. Claus and handing out gifts, and they're having a fun party. And they're that kind of people, like they love to host those kinds of parties. So for them, it's not a hard thing to do. But they've generated a ton of business having those kinds of events. I'm thinking things like skating parties, maybe a day at the movies, those kinds of fun things. Has anybody here done that kind of thing or thought about doing that kind of thing? Nobody's even thought about it.
I've thought about it. I think about a lot of things. I waste a lot of my day thinking.
Yeah.
Michael, I feel like you did that a couple of years ago, like before COVID. Did you not host a breakfast with Santa? I want to say one or 2 years in a row.
Yeah, so we did Breakfast with Santa for 3 years, and I partnered with the dance studio that my kids were going to. That was a fantastic event for a lot of reasons. And whenever I did events like that, my primary goal was, how do I get people's name and information into my database so that I can cultivate a relationship? The photos with Santa thing was awesome because I was responsible for doing the photos. And in order for people to get the photos, they would have to give me their contact information so we could email them the photos when the event was over. So I brought in photographer. I had my stager give me a bunch of stuff so that we could set up a appropriate thing for the photos. My photographer would do all the pictures, and it cost me maybe $1,000 to put that portion of the event together. But every time we did the event, we were able to promote it to all of Waterdown, and we would also cross-pollinate with my database and the dance studios database, sending out all of their information. And I would add about 100 to 125 families to my database in one day. So it was a great exposure event because, I'm wearing all my branded stuff, all the messages were all branded. And then afterwards, we were able to send them the information and stay in contact with them. And then also invite them to future events, because we would do Rib Fest, we would do an Easter egg hunt, we would do things throughout the year and stay connected with those families. So those events, if that's going to be your way of connecting with the community, they can be really fantastic at building that loyalty and the, like you, trust you portion of the relationship. So, I mean, you can do big events, you can do small events, you can do events that you promote to the whole thing. You can do events that are just to your existing database of clients. One of the really fun ones that we did years ago was a Friday night social. And we booked a local restaurant bar, and I invited my database to come out and be a part of the Friday night social. We didn't pay for any alcohol, but what we did is we paid for a bunch of appetizers for everybody. So that cost, a couple $100, and we had about 40 or 50 people show up. And it was a lot of fun. It was just like a super casual, come on out, let's have a little bit of fun on a Friday night. But it was really awesome to see who showed up and, to watch those conversations amongst the people and be like, oh, hey, you work with Michael? Yeah, I work with Michael. We bought and sold a couple of, oh, you bought and sold a couple of houses. Oh, we're thinking about buying investment properties. Like, some really cool conversations happen because you're bringing this group of people together. So yeah, I like events. I would say out of any of the things that you could possibly do, I think the events are great. For me, I like those things. Got to do more of them in the new year.
Yeah. And again, setting up some automation ahead of time. So being prepared, with a CRM system, so that when you go into a busy event, you can just open up an app on your phone and just get people to type in their information right then and there. so that you're not just having them handwrite something, so that you're spending hours on it after, would be my one suggestion. I've definitely gone into a few of those parties and been really impressed with some people, how they're just walking around with an iPad and they're just getting people's names. And again, sometimes you can even pre-register for parties as well, so that's kind of nice as well.
You know, I just had an idea. I think it would be a really cool thing to do is to have some kind of a contest for the holidays. I think contests are pretty fun too. So years ago, this is going back maybe 6 or 7 years, Hatchimals were like the big thing when it came to the Christmas gift. You couldn't find them anywhere. They're supposed to sell for like $100 and people were paying like $300 for these stupid things. And we managed to get our hands on 2 of them for the holidays. So we decided to create a giveaway. And we did like a blast to our database. We did, you know, some social media stuff, and we had a lot of people respond. And again, those responses are, hey, if you want to be a part of this giveaway, then we need your name, phone number, and email.
Yeah, and I like that as well, because oftentimes with social media contests, you can remind them to like and share the post. So it helps spread that awareness too.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So again, I think at the end of the day, the goal, you know, you got to figure out what is it you're doing this thing for. Is it to get people's information? Is it to connect with people that already know you, like you, trust you? Is it to, you know, go direct and try to ask for business? So starting with the end in mind will kind of help be the rudder to steer what it is you're going to do and what response you're looking for. Right? Like Kevin said, when he goes door knocking, it's, you know, why am I going door knocking?
Agreed. Setting a goal definitely will help you get further.
For sure. Cool. It's almost 11:15 already. So I would love to open up the floor to anybody who has questions about, you know, what they would like to do, or questions they have about how to execute something in the next 30 days to really set themselves up for the new year. Surely somebody's got to have some questions about, you know, I think this is a good idea. How do I do this?
See, in my case, I don't have any ideas when it comes to Christmas time. I do have ideas when it comes to Valentine's Day. So that's 3 months ahead.
Mm-hmm.
What are your ideas? You need 3 months to plan a good event.
So I want to hit all the men. So I
Well, tell us more now.
I actually was thinking of getting, I don't know, over the Facebook and in my farm area, maybe try to get in touch with all the men in the area and plan a giveaway of a huge red roses bouquet.
That's a great idea.
And ideas, guys. I don't know how to do it.
You know what?
I know I'm gonna have to do some flyers, go door knocking, but I don't want all the women to know about it. So,
you know, I thought about an idea like that for Valentine's Day as well. So I think a really cool thing to do would be to book like a really special night for Valentine's Day. And, you know, like go to a nice restaurant and, you know, have movie tickets purchased in advance, or, you know, something like that. Even have like a babysitter on standby, because, you know, that can be a barrier for families that have little kids. But like organize a whole thing and then have it as a giveaway and say, hey, you know what, for Valentine's Day, we got you covered. We are going to do this giveaway thing. You know, you got to send me your name, email, phone number, whatever it is. And we're going to draw one person the week before Valentine's Day to win this Valentine's Day package.
I have a couple ideas about that. I think that's great, Mike. I would still send it out. I'd do a double-sided card. I do one that's something for a guy and one that's something for a girl. Like one side is roses and the other side is like monster truck rally. I don't know, like the most male thing you can
Okay.
imagine. And then it's like whoever gets the card can, you know, they can put their self in the contest to win for their partner, right? And I don't know, it's, you know, it's whoever grabs the card, right? And yeah, I don't think you'd be worried about someone knowing about it. Like who cares about that?
Okay.
Another idea I heard about, which made sense to me, was you could make Valentine's reservations at 5 restaurants and under your name for Valentine's Day, and then you can
Yeah.
give them out 3 days before Valentine's Day. You can just, you know, put on Facebook, or you could reach out to people individually is probably a better way to do it, and say, I have these reservations I can't use at such and such restaurant. Do you think you and your partner would like to do that? And it's free.
Yeah, I mean, whatever makes you be the hero.
Yeah, you have to be the
Right.
hero.
Be the hero to somebody, some guy who's like, holy shit, I completely forgot about Valentine's Day. My wife is gonna kill me. Don't worry, I got you covered. I got flowers already ordered and I got a dinner reservation. I've got you hooked up, right?
Great ideas. Oh my God. Thanks, guys.
I agree with Kevin with don't worry about if the guy or the girl sees it, because you might even get the women pushing the men or vice versa to be like, did you hear about this? Go sign up for that. So yeah, I don't think you have to worry about anybody like not seeing it.
Yeah. If anything, I would agree with you, Sarah. I think that the women seeing that and like shoving that in their partner's face and going, don't forget to go and do this is a great idea. Or subtly leaving it, you know, in their underwear drawer or on top of their clothes where their wallet is or whatever have you. I think that's a fantastic idea. As soon as Kevin said it, I wrote it down. I was like, oh, that's a fantastic idea.
What? How many realtors post those things on Facebook? Don't forget to set your clocks ahead. Don't forget to turn back time because the time changes. Like, we're so guilty of doing those kinds of things. Why can't you remind people of the fact that it's Valentine's Day and you got to remember to go get some flowers or chocolates?
Yeah.
Right.
Even taking the same idea and throwing it back to Christmas. I mean, how many husbands don't buy their wives Christmas presents or stocking stuffers? So even to offer like up a Christmas stocking stuffer, one specifically designed for women and one specifically designed for men, you know, and those likes, yeah.
Oh my God, that's a huge idea. I love that.
I just because I was inspired by Kevin, but I literally saw on a TikTok this morning a guy filming, you know, all his kids opening their presents and their stockings, and then him looking at his wife's stocking and going, "Oh, is this an extra stocking? There's nothing in it." And she just looks at him, and I was like, my heart broke for that woman. I'd be so mad. Oh my gosh. So like, I just, again, what a great idea to say, you know, turn around and say, hey, what a, you know, for a holiday giveaway, you know, here's a stocking for your wife or for your partner, you know, yeah.
And really, you could put together a really simple stocking like that for less than $10, right? You could go to the dollar store and get like a roll of Mentos and Lifesavers and, you know, some kind of a little dollar store puzzle thing and, you know, a pack of socks or something like that for like $6 or $7. Like, it could be really inexpensive.
Great ideas, guys.
And the dollar store sells stockings too, which is really nice. So you don't have to go to like Walmart and spend 20 or 40 bucks on a stocking.
That's a great idea.
I think I'm going to have to take that one and run with that. It's, I don't often do these kinds of things, but I think it's fun for us to build some social media presence and maybe do something like this for us. What's,
You know,
oh my gosh.
that's where you get you'll get some recognition after the fact inside like a Facebook group or whatever, where, you know, like the Watered Down Dads group is pretty active, and, you know, you'll get a message and they'll be like, oh my God, thanks so much to Michael Dominichetti, who totally saved my ass on Christmas morning because I got this thing from him. You know, like that kind of social credit goes a really long way.
For sure. And again, if you make it part of the contest to like and share the post in the beginning, and make sure that you only allow those that do that to actually win the contest, then at least you're spreading your reach a little bit further each time.
I think the thing too is to have fun with it, right? Like, you know, be a little bit goofy or silly or whatever, and, you know, throw some personality into it to make it so it's not, you know, so blah and generic. And when you're doing these things, to make it really about them. Right. I think we have a tendency to overdo it with, you know, I'm going to do it and I'm going to put my logo all over it, or put my branding all over it, or put my business cards inside of it. You know, I think to, you know, kind of pull back a little bit on some of that stuff and make it very much about them and not so much about us, especially when it comes to kids and especially when it comes to the holidays. That's my opinion. I know not everybody agrees with that. You see the Facebook groups get lit up, especially every year right before Halloween, where realtors are like, oh, look at these bags of candy I'm handing out with all my branding all over it and my business cards inside of it. And other agents will be like, dude, you're ruining Halloween for the kids. Just make it about the kids. So there's no right or wrong answer. My own personal opinion is, you know, come from contribution and they'll know who it came from.
Yeah, agreed. I think it's an important step in building that like, know, and trust organically. You know, we've all been in situations where we get that icky salesperson feeling and we're like, all we want to do is be like, get the fuck out of my space. And so, sorry, I shouldn't swear, but really it makes you repel against them. And so to focus on the client and their needs and not ask for something in return, and not just give something logoed for them to try and enjoy. Here's a Christmas basket. Every single thing in it has my logo all over it. So they can't even really enjoy that. You know, I would agree with you, Michael. I think that building something with know, like, and trust in an organic way, I think builds better relationships, builds longer term relationships, and really helps build that, you know, when they then turn around and talk to their friends and their coworkers, they are that much happier to give your name instead of someone else's.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
So I'm trying to do a giveaway right now, actually, for like the RBG Winter Wonderland. But so I've never done a giveaway before. My fear is, what if you don't get enough people that, like, I don't know. I think I did, it was tell me your, you know, your Christmas decor style, and make a comment and tag a friend in it to be entered, basically.
Oh.
But my fear is, what if then do I just start bugging people that I know to?
Yeah, that's what you do. That's what I did.
Yeah.
I was doing going back to school giveaway, and I did it all on Facebook. I didn't have a lot of response, so that's what I did. I just bugged my friends, go sign up, and as long as you get 10 people, you're good.
I think too, making sure that you're posting more than once is important. I think sometimes we anticipate that, you know, posting once a week or once a month is going to really get that interaction. And you may be one of the lucky few that somehow gets a viral post, but 99.9% of the time that's not going to be the case. And so if you can get in the daily habit of posting about it daily, I just, you know, I love Gary Vee and he talks all the time, and one thing I see is he is on every platform posting multiple times a day. Obviously it's not him doing it, it's the social media team, but I think if you can get in the habit of posting on your social media channels on a daily basis when you are doing something like that, it will help that level of giveaway. And I think making sure that you're adding your friends to your Facebook pages and your Instagram pages, and making sure that, you know, anybody that hasn't clicked yes yet, you send out again next week is important as well.
Yeah, they are a good amount of work. It's not terrible work, but you've got to be consistent and you got to really stay connected and keep getting the message out there. They can be challenging in that regard, but you've got to keep at it.
Yeah. So keep in mind that if you have a Facebook business page, if you use Meta Business Suite, you can actually schedule posts now to go out. So you can schedule one post and like you can schedule it to go out daily. You can schedule it for Facebook and Instagram. And so that does help make that a little bit easier.
Cool.
All
All right, we've got a few minutes left here. I love ending these kinds of sessions with action steps and ahas. So I would love to hear from everybody in the group. What is the one thing now that we've discussed today that you are going to do in the next 30 days to make your business awesome in the new year?
Just do something. Anything is
We got-
better than wasting the whole December.
Well, you've got to do something because, you know, the whole, if you do what you've always done, then you'll get what you always got. So if you want to have more in the new year, you've got to do something different. So like, what is one thing that we talked about today that you're like, okay, that's one thing I can do in the next 30 days that is going to have a good positive impact on my business?
I will concentrate on Christmas and getting in touch with all my sphere.
Mhm. That's good. Yeah, for sure. Like, absolutely. And it can be a very easy phone call.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Concentration on my food drive, as well as I like the bottle pickup idea in the new year. That's kind of a cool idea. I kind of resonate with that. So
Mhm. Yeah, that's a great idea, Kevin. Thanks for sharing that one.
The bottle drive was definitely fire. I'm not ready to do it yet, but it is in my pocket. I think I sent out the like magnet calendars, and I think I'm going to send out Christmas cards to my closer sphere. And I'm gonna try and do a coffee a day over the Christmas holidays with like not a new person, but just somebody I haven't connected with in a while.
Ooh, I like that, Sarah. That's a great one.
That's a great idea. I actually, if for anybody here that does time blocking, I'm a huge lover in time blocking. My entire life is like scheduled on my phone. I specifically have a time block in my calendar, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, to specifically connect with one person that day, for whatever specific reason I have, right? So I would encourage anybody here that follows a calendar, to add that into your day.
That's awesome. Yep, great idea. I just had something to add on to the bottle drive. I think it would be really fun to do a bottle drive after St. Patrick's Day.
Yes.
Right? You could promote that weeks before St. Patrick's Day, and there's really not much else happening in the month of March. So that would be a really cool way to connect with your database and be like, have a lot of fun on St. Patrick's Day and, you know, drink green and all that other good stuff. And by the way, on, you know, the 18th or whatever, I'm going to come around and pick up all your empties.
Good idea. Yeah.
Love that.
See, you know what? When you start talking about these things, and the reason why these masterminds, I love them so much, is when you come up with one thing and then you start bouncing it around. It's like, oh, we could do this. Oh, we could do that. This is a great idea. And a lot of great information can be shared and expanded upon and like really come up with some awesome stuff when we spend this 90 minutes together.
Yeah, agreed. And the fact that we get specific and ask you guys for an action step at the end of it is really so then that way it helps you commit to that action at the end of it. You're much more likely to commit to a goal and see it through when you actually take action. So I would love to know from Kevin though. Kevin, I don't have anything written down for you yet. What's something you can do over the next 30 days?
Maybe I'll do the bottle drive because I've thought about it for years. So.
That's not necessarily committing though.
Yeah.
So
Way to commit, Kevin.
I said maybe. Yeah. I don't know. I have to do something for my postcard for December 1st. So that's probably the one to do. I'll do a bottle drive. I'll do it on a postcard. Now, how would you recommend I do it? Should everyone come to my house and drop off the bottles, or maybe that's an option? Or I go to everyone's house and I pick them up off their porch, or they text in their address and their name and I pick it up off their porch, or what?
I'm always a big fan of figuring out how you can get people's information when you're doing these things. And I think the way to do that is to have it so you're picking up from them.
Yeah.
Right? You can rent a truck or a trailer or borrow one from a friend for the day or whatever. I would also make arrangements with wherever you're going to be dropping off the bottles that you're doing this, because having worked at the beer store many years ago, when people showed up with a truck and a trailer, if we were not prepared for it, it was a lot of work. But if you
Yeah,
could
I heard you
save-
can't. They won't even accept them now.
yeah, a
Yeah.
lot of times you've got to pre-plan those things so they can bring in extra staffing and be physically prepared for it. But if you let them know that you're doing a bottle drive and you're picking stuff up on, I don't know, whatever, December the 27th or 28th, and you're going to be by on the 28th because that's when you have your truck and trailer booked, then everybody is on board with it. And you can even maybe do some promotion inside the beer store if it's a local one to your farm neighborhood and say, this is what we're doing. Like, you can get other people on board with this.
Pretty good idea.
Mhm.
All right.
I love this idea. I can't wait to hear about it when you've executed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, if I don't show up at the next mastermind, you'll know why.
It's because you did it and you're so exhausted you can't lift your fingers to type
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah, too busy signing commission checks.
Love that. Well, thank you all so much for showing up on today's call. It's been wonderful getting to see you all again today. Any final thoughts today, Michael?
Final thoughts? No, I think we covered a lot today. And, we always talk about lots of great, wonderful ideas. And sometimes it can be like, ooh, we got so much going on. I'm going to try to do all these things. I guess final parting thought is take a look at all the things that have been discussed, figure out one thing that you figure is going to have the biggest impact on your business in the next like 30 to 60 days, and put your attention on that one thing. Don't try to do everything. Figure out one thing you can put your attention on and just commit and go for it.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank
All
you
right.
all for coming and joining us today. We appreciate you.
Thank
Have a
you.
nice day.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful day,
everyone.
all.
Thanks, guys.
Do you want to stop the recording?